just because Lugs made a prediction on the Bears coaching staff, I will make a prediction on the Vikings coaching staff. Even though I think they make the playoffs, I think they're a one and done. They'll get eliminated. And I think you kind of see how Zimmer in the press conference talked about Kirk Cousins. I think it's going to be a separation, not only because they want to probably move on for Zimmer, not that they don't like Zimmer, but just they feel like they probably need to turn over. And I feel after this, like Kirk Cousins has to be there because I think he's like 40+ million cap hit, regardless if they cut him or not. So he's going to be on the team next year, regardless. I think Zimmer's done with him. I think he despises Kirk Cousins more than Lugs does. So I think this is it for Zimmer. Like he'll have and maybe he takes a year off and maybe he goes somewhere else or maybe he retires. I don't know. I feel like this is the last year for him in Minnesota.
All right. Good prediction there. Yeah.
So, but the team that will win, and I know it feels the reason we really kind of put him off is I just want to make sure that Aaron Rodgers is coming back. I felt he was, but shockingly enough, as much as his press conferences are weird, and he had the weirdest feud with management where I think only in his mind he won. I mean, they took a year off his thing and they gave him a broken down Randall Cobb at the age of 30. He did not win. The Packers won this spat, if we want to call it. I don't know. But anyway, he's still the strength of this team. He's taken them to the playoffs 9 of the 13 years he's been the starter there. He's won the MVP at 37 and was possibly the best year he had. It's funny though, the weakness of the team, their number one receiver, Devontae Adams, you can maybe make a case. And I think, even in a vacuum, Devontae Adams is a very talented wide receiver without Aaron Rodgers. He would be one of the better wide receivers on a lot of teams. Like it's not just Aaron Rodgers. I think Devontae Adams is that special in terms of his route running and his short area quickness. I don't think he's like a burner or anything, but like he's just a guy who plays bigger than what he is. But really after that, it's a bunch of Jags. I mean, Lazard, Valdez-Scantling, like I said, Randall Cobb. I mean, I love Randall Cobb, but like, I don't know what Randall Cobb is at this point. I think he's held together with like chewing gum and tissue paper and it's a caulking gun. So
it's those eyes. It's those blue eyes though, man. Come on.
Yeah. They're breathtaking. But even with those breathtaking eyes, they go 12-5. They don't go as well as they've gone the first 2 years under LaFleur, where they've been 13-5. They go 12-5. They win the division. So congrats to Green Bay for doing it again, owning the NFC North.
I'm a little less optimistic for them. I'm going 11-6, but I mean, Rodgers, man, that sort of petty drama that is his trademark. I mean, the man is talented, no doubt, but it's just, you just want to say, dude, shut up and play the damn game. But hey,
T-Dog, did you have anybody going beyond round one on the NFC North?
I think the Packers are like I said, there's two playoff teams. Vikings, I don't know who I'd have a matchup with. They're going to be one and done. I think the O-line, and again, as much as I do respect Kirk Cousins' playing ability, he hasn't had a big moment. I'm not completely putting it on him, but like I feel like they'll be one and done. I think the Packers, I think they'll get to at least I think they'll get to the divisional round. I don't think they'll get to the NFC Championship this year. I think I really think if the 49ers stay healthy, I think the 49ers are going to be a juggernaut like they were 2 years ago. And I think the Rams also could I think they're a tough out for the Packers too. So I think they don't do as well as they did last year, is I guess what I'm saying.
All right.
So I would agree with that.
Let's talk about the preseason. We have 1 week of games in the books. Gentlemen, the quarterbacks. Let's talk about the rookies, the 5 top rookies. What'd you guys think?
I would give Justin Fields a top grade of this batch of the top 5. I put him at number 1. It was as soon as he enters a game, you can feel it. He has whatever that magic is. I don't think he has Mahomes' magic, but he doesn't benefit from having Andy Reid as a coach either. So I would say Justin's the top. I would say Zach Wilson did really well considering everything else. And then I would have to say Trevor Lawrence, even though he got really splatted early on, he came back to show that he has some resilience. Then I would put Trey Lawrence, and then I would put Mac Jones. So those are my sort of top 5 from what they did in their first outings.
It's actually crazy, Lugs. I have them the exact same order as you do.
Wow.
Justin Fields, I mean, he started off slow. So his first few drives, they weren't anything to write home about. He almost had a pick. He had a fumble, which luckily he recovered. He luckily got him in the field goal range at the end of the second quarter. But in that third quarter, I mean, that's when the lights came on. The guy ended up being 14 to 20, 142 passing yards, passing TD, 33 yards rushing, and a rushing TD. That first TD, I mean, he bounced out of what usually is a sack for most quarterbacks, and then turned left and rushed for an 8-yard touchdown. And that second TD was a nice play action rollout where he rolled. If you think about it, he rolled to the opposite hash and he threw across. So he threw across the field. So it's actually longer than the 30-yard touchdown pass that Jesse James, where you see the yardage, is longer than 30 yards. So, and he was just wide open. It was, to be fair to Nagy on that one, and I agree with Lugs, he should get killed a lot. That was a well-designed play by the offense for a wide open. And he wasn't the most steady quarterback. I think there were 3 quarterbacks played a lot more steady than Justin Fields, but to be fair to probably what Lugs is saying too, just the wow plays that make you, like a guy can learn to be more steady. Because like I said, I think Fields was kind of choppy at the beginning, but those wow plays, like those you can't just generate. Zach Wilson, I think he actually played the most consistent, and I think he was the most steady. So I think I agree with Lugs. That's why he was number 2. Particularly, he had 2 great third and long conversions. And like I said, the numbers aren't gaudy, but like I said, he played within how the offense was meant to be played. Trevor Lawrence was like Justin Fields. He started out a little shaky, and to be fair to him, his offensive line just didn't look good. And I think that we kind of talked about like a few weeks ago, Brown's defense is legit. So I think he was playing one of the harder defenses of these guys. But he also had a great third and long on I want to say it was an out route. And then he hit Marvin Jones on a deep pass. And both of them just show you just a pure talent that he has as an arm. Trey Lance was 4th, like Lugs had him. He was definitely the most up and down because the stats were his stats actually were better and worse than what they should have been. He had, I think, 3 drops by his wide receivers where where the ball was thrown were fairly accurate, but he should have had 2 picks where essentially a guy, he didn't see the defender like hedge under, or like he tried to fit it between 2 defenders, which was just a bad throw. But still, you watch that 80-yard touchdown, and it just shows his arm strength and accuracy. And also, it just kills Garoppolo because Garoppolo, I don't think, has ever had a play like that. So it's just like the fire is getting very hot for him. And Mac Jones, probably behind Zach Wilson, was probably the most steady in his play. Like he didn't look as shaky as Justin Fields at points did. Trevor Lawrence, and definitely Trey Lance, like you said, was the most shaky. But he had no wow factor, and I'm not even going to completely kill for him because, like, you kind of look at that Pat's offense. I don't know if they have particularly with like their big 2 signings, Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. They're both injured already. Shocking. They're both 4 guys who are always injured. I mean, that's why they doubled up and they got double gonged on that one. But I thought he played well. And like I said, the good thing for all these teams, I think all these quarterbacks, not to say they're all going to work out because obviously the numbers show that they don't, but at least in that first preseason, and I know you shouldn't put too much into preseason, they all looked legitimate. It wasn't like Christian Hackenberg, who did not even play in the preseason like a few years ago. Like he was that bad. I guess. So
I agree with you, boys, but here's what I have something to say. So did Justin Fields really say, what'd you think of the game, Justin? Well, I think it's running a little slow. Did he really say that, number one? Number two, he wears jersey number 1. Has anybody ever won wearing the number 1? I'm going no on that. What do you guys say?
Yeah, I don't remember a number 1 quarterback ever winning.
Cam Newton's a 1, isn't he?
He
is.
came close. I mean, he came close.
Yeah.
Just tossing that out there.
Speaking of Cam, I thought that of all the quarterbacks, Mac Jones fits Belichick really well. You know, it's sort of the cerebral game. He's not going to kill you with his arm, but he is more than adequate. And I thought that he fit real well. I think Zach Wilson fits well with what they're trying to do in New York. I will say that Trey Lance, to me, needs the most work to become he is going to be an NFL starter. I just think that he needs a lot of work. I think Garoppolo is your guy there, but after it's all said and done, it will be Trey Lance. Garoppolo probably manages this season, but after that, I would say it's Trey Lance. They will get him going. I go back to Justin Fields is so far the sort of sparkle of this group. Mm-hmm. We'll see what happens down the line, but I think Nagy has to start him. I do think that game 1, it has to be Justin Fields. I think Chicago fans will demand it.
I say Red Rifle goes right out of the gate, baby. Dalton's number 1 on the runway. I'm pretty sure they're going to do that.
But that's going back to that old school thinking. You got a new school kid here. I mean, you know, let's look what happened. What happened in Kansas City? They went with old school thinking with Alex Smith. What happened?
Well,
tore his leg off. You know,
a little different deal there, but
I will play conspiracy theory. I will to Lugs' thing. Do they make things more complicated in the next 2 preseason games on Justin Fields to try to keep on track to the trajectory of Andy Dalton?
Well, maybe.
Like you know, they try to shuffle it to try to keep it on Andy Dalton. Because I will agree with Lugs on this. If Justin Fields does play relatively close to how he played in the first preseason game at 2 and 3, it's going to be next to impossible not to start him. It's going to be next to impossible.
I'm sorry. He is their starter for me. You know, if I'm a Chicago fan, and I like watching Chicago, I'm not diehard, but I want to see that kid out there playing. It's like you got it. There comes a time like Baltimore with Lamar. They finally just said, "No, we're going to go with this."
Yeah, but it wasn't right away either. So there you go.
Yeah. And what happened? They lost. You know,
they were able to back into the playoffs, but to be fair to Lugs' point, they almost missed the playoffs because they held on to Joe Flacco for too long. I will agree with Lugs on this, at least this. It's not even so much the fans, the players on that team. When you hear some players talk about Justin Fields, if he plays like how he did the first preseason in 2 and 3, I mean, they like and respect Andy Dalton. I don't think they're going to turn on Andy Dalton or anything, but like if he plays at that level, they're going to, the locker room is going to have serious questions with the coaching staff. And like, again, they can tune out the fans, but they cannot tune out 53 players on a team.
He's a leader and high football IQ.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Okay, so let's move on to something else here real quick. So, guys, did you watch that Field of Dreams MLB game between the White Sox and the Yankees from Dyersville, Iowa? It was a bit, shall I say, corny.
Oh,
but a big hit with fans. It turned in the best ratings of a regular season game since 2005. Tons of home runs, including a walk-off to give the White Sox the win. So here's my question to you boys. Did it live up to the hype? The movie's 32 years old. Did you see Kevin Costner kind of wandering around the field? That was strange.
Yeah, I think.
Do you think they'll do it again?
They just got him out of the home for that particular game. Of course, they're going to do it again, man. It got magical numbers.
Did you see
Fox.
the ticket prices over $1,000 a ticket? More than the World Series.